Hi guys, it's Ashley Nicole with Passion, Purpose, and Paychecks. Today we have with us a very special guest, Shelley Whitehead, who's using her law degree in a different way. Shelley, introduce LegalBee and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so LegalBee is a legal recruiting company, and basically I place temporary and permanent attorneys in positions at law firms. That's pretty much the short end of it.
How did you come up with the name?
It's actually very organic. I'll try to give you a quick version.
Okay.
So when I was coming up with names, at the time I had a blog called Legal Bombshell, and my original name for what's now LegalBee was LegalBerry. And so when I started designing, the person was like, oh, you got Legal Bombshell and now LegalBerry. And I was like, yeah, I love those legal bees. And I was like, LegalBee, that's what the name should be. So it's a very crazy story of how we came up with LegalBee, but I love it because it fits. It kind of shows how the attorneys are actually kind of like the worker bees for the law firms in just a really cute, fun way.
Okay, I love that. I want to back up a bit and talk a little bit about how you became an entrepreneur. Yeah. How did that journey start for you?
Well, it started, I'm actually a former practicing attorney, so I went to law school in Louisiana. I'm from Chicago originally, but I went to law school in Louisiana, started working at a firm doing employment and premises liability law. I was let go from my job at the firm. Wow. And when I left, I started working for a lot of solo and small firm attorneys. They basically just needed help doing coverage, helping them out with their cases, but didn't necessarily have the resources to hire me full-time. And so I was just working with a lot of different attorneys like that. And then that's when I kind of realized that, well, this is a business. Like, I really see that these attorneys, they need the help. They may not want to hire somebody full-time, but that doesn't mean that they can't still get the help. And so that's where, it wasn't LegalBee at that time, it was called Whitehead Freelance Law. And there I was the attorney doing all the work, going to court, doing depositions, basically just being another associate for those firms.
Interesting. But
yeah.
You were an independent contractor.
Correct.
So let's back up a little bit. You went to law school in Louisiana.
I did.
And you inevitably started your career in Louisiana.
Yes.
How did you end up back in Chicago? I know you mentioned you were originally born here.
Yeah, so at the time that I was doing Whitehead Freelance Law, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. Wow. And so I really felt the need that I needed to move back to Chicago to take care of her. Because at the time, my sister had just moved to Hampton to start college. And so she was really there by herself for the most part. And so I was like, and especially since I was an entrepreneur at the time, I was like, I have the freedom to just go back and kind of start my journey there and be with her at the same time.
So while in Louisiana, you started freelancing really under your own name?
Correct.
Was that a sole proprietorship?
Yeah, it was at the time.
Okay, perfect. And you were just doing freelance legal work, and then your mom called you? How did you learn of her? Yeah,
so we talked pretty frequently. So she had gone to the doctor and just kind of let me know what her diagnosis was. It was like stage 4, triple negative breast cancer, which after me doing my own research was like a very aggressive form of cancer that's found primarily in African American women. And then once I did my research, I was like, the prognosis isn't that long. And so I was like, no, I kind of need to be there with her. So I just kind of packed up and headed straight back to Chicago.
How is your mom now?
She passed in 2015.
Wow. Okay.
And so this was 2012.
This
just
was 2012.
to give you some.
Okay, so in 2012 you moved back, you were with your mom and you were still doing freelance legal work at that time?
Correct.
Okay, so you were were you still working under your sole proprietorship?
Yeah, so I was still working under Whitehead Freelance Law. So when I moved back to Chicago, I had a few attorney contacts because the summer after my first year of law school, I started working with a few attorneys in Chicago when I came back that summer. And so I just contacted them again and said, hey, I'm back. This is what I'm doing. Do you have any work or do you know anyone who needs assistance? And so one of the attorneys who I clerked with that summer, she was my first client when I moved back.
And when you say clerk, did you do a judicial clerkship?
No, not judicial. Yeah, so she was an employment lawyer. Okay. And so I basically interned with her.
Okay. So in 2012, you come back under not the best circumstances.
Right.
And while taking care of your mom, you're also building your business.
Right.
At what point did you transition from the
Whitehead freelance law
law to LegalBee?
The official change was in 2015,
okay.
But the idea started around late 2013, 2014. Okay. Just dealing with my mom and realizing that I need more people to do this. It can't just be me.
Kind of out of necessity.
Out of necessity, okay. And also, to be honest, I didn't want to do the work anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, I just kind of want to run the business. I knew it was a good idea, and I was like, I'm sure there are a bunch of other attorneys who would love to kind of freelance and work with these attorneys on an as-needed basis. And so that's where the concept of LegalBee came from. I was like, I can just build a network of attorneys, I can vet them, and then send them out to do these projects. And then that will also free up my time so I can spend it with my mom as well.
And so this was in 2015?
It officially launched in 2015. Okay. The idea of it came in like 2014.
Okay. How long did it take you to build your network of attorneys?
Not long at all, actually. Once I got the idea rolling, I put out a few job postings on Indeed and say, hey, LegalBee is hiring for freelance attorneys that are 5 years out. We're looking for XYZ skills.
Oh, so you wanted experienced attorneys?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so to even join the network, you have to be practicing at least 5 years. Okay. And the reason I do that is because the attorneys that utilize us, they're busy. Yeah. They don't have time to like micromanage and kind of teach people what to do. So I do 5 years because at that time you've pretty much seen a lot. Yeah. And so if you can go to court and a judge throws you a curveball, you pretty much can handle it.
Okay.
And so we just want other attorneys that utilize us to feel comfortable doing that. And so that's why we asked for like 5 years.
That's great. Now, how did you set because you really have two different groups that you're recruiting, attorneys to join the network as well as clients to use the service.
Right.
How were you able to set the prices for your clients, the actual firms that would hire your company?
Yeah, so a lot of that was just when I was developing my business plan, realizing all of the expenses that I needed, my living expenses as well, and what would be a good price and how many clients I would need and how many hours they would use us to sustain myself or to at least give myself a good cushion. And also I did a lot of market research on competitors who were doing similar, because LegalBee is not a novel concept, but there are a few other companies in Chicago that are doing something similar. And so I did a little research to see what they were charging as well to kind of be competitive and kind of see where I needed to be in that ball range.
That's great. And how do you set the prices that you charge for the attorneys' services?
For the attorneys that work for me. So I set a margin. So it's pretty much a 50% margin. So I make 50% more of what I charge them.
Okay.
Or what they end up billing. So really the process is when an attorney calls LegalBee and says, hey, I need an attorney to do XYZ. What happens is I'll match that attorney. That attorney does like a timesheet for how much they've done for that client, and then I bill the client. The client pays LegalBee, and then I take my percentage before I pay the contractor.
So everything goes through LegalBee?
Correct.
So it's a pretty seamless process.
It really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, you mentioned that you noticed that there was a need for these types of services.
Right.
How did you jump from I see the need to I want to fulfill the need?
Actually, I didn't even see the need until I was doing it myself. Okay. So when I had left the firm, I was just kind of, and I was looking for another job. I was just meeting solos. They were like, oh, well, I don't have anything for you permanently, but you can help me do X, Y, Z. Yeah. And just as I was doing that, that's kind of how I saw the need. And I was like, this is a business I was making at the time. I was making more doing that than I was at the firm. I was like, well, this is a sustainable business. This is something that obviously attorneys need because they're coming to me with that need the help. And so it was just through me actually being in the trenches and doing it, and that's kind of how it kind of opened my eyes to see, oh yeah, this will work.
Oh, that's really good. Now, You mentioned when you came back to Chicago, you reached out to some of the attorneys that you previously knew in the area.
Right.
Starting a business from the ground up is not easy.
Not at all.
How did you strategically network to get clients?
So a lot of it was going where attorneys were.
Okay.
So any bar functions, anything.
When you say bar functions, what do you mean? Because I'm sure some viewers are like,
oh yeah. So a bar is essentially like a student group for attorneys. They do it's like programming, and everyone, like there's one for Illinois, there's one, and then it's broken down in counties. Like there's a Chicago bar, there's Cook County. There's basically different types of bars based on either your area or the type of group it is.
So networking groups for different
networking
types of
groups,
players.
yes.
You kind of join based on your affiliation or what you identify.
Exactly. And so I went to a lot of those, just with my business cards in tow. Like, hey, I'm Shelley Whitehead. I'm the owner of LegalBee. This is what we do. And from there, either I would meet someone who immediately needed my services, which doesn't really happen that often, but a lot of times I'll meet someone who knows somebody who would. And so I get introduced that way. So a lot of referrals, a lot of word of mouth, and eventually people just find me on my website as well.
Okay. And you mentioned your website. Did you invest quite a bit of money into getting a website that's visually appealing?
For LegalBee, I did not.
Okay.
So I have been very blessed to have great resources and know people who believed in me and wanted to kind of help me grow and invest. And so my very first LegalBee website was done by somebody I was dating at the time. So he did it for free. And then when I had it, rebranded, I met someone through another networking event, and she didn't charge me that much either to rebrand. So I've been very blessed in that regard that I did, because I know a lot of people spend thousands of dollars on a website, and so luckily I didn't have to go that route.
Okay, that's great. And so talk me through, or could you speak to the person who's like, I just don't have upfront capital. I have all these ideas. I would love to start a business, but I don't have the money. How were you able to get your upfront capital, and how did you barter to get services? Yeah,
so my upfront capital was from the money that I was already making from doing Whitehead freelance law. A lot of it was tax return money as well. And some of it was just family and friends who helped and wanted to sew into me. And so for those who don't have a lot of resources, I would say start small. You don't have to pay for a lot up front. If you can find someone to make you just a small website, it doesn't have to be an $1,000 website. You don't have to look like you're balling. You know, no one really cares that much. I know people think that they do, but no one cares that much. Just get you a few cheap business cards and just get started. Whatever money that you have, just start investing a little bit into your website, a little bit into your business cards. Keep your overhead low. For a long time, and even now, I don't have an official office. I work from home for the most part, but I do have virtual space downtown. So if I ever need to take a meeting downtown, I do have a space to do that.
And how did you obtain that? Because office space downtown is very expensive.
It's very expensive. So yeah, I use Level Office. There's many different ones, but it's basically like a co-working space. So it's a lot of different businesses utilize it. You can get something cheap like what I use. I just do the mailing, be able to use that downtown mailing address. And so all of my mail goes there. And then if I actually need to take a meeting, then I can rent one of the offices, the conference rooms.
That's really good.
Hourly. So
hourly. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's like an hourly rate or an estimate, I guess.
Like $40.
Wow. Okay, that's really good.
Yeah. So
that's helpful. So if you have a client, you can bring them to a downtown office space, because I do think clients want to see a certain appearance sometimes.
Absolutely, especially lawyers. So you know, lawyers can be a little uppity. So you know, I do have the space. Really? no shade. Well, I'm on the attorney too, so we know. But yeah, so yeah, a little uppity. So if I have to have a meeting, then I can do so. But a lot of times we don't even meet there. We'll just meet for coffee. You know, at Starbucks or for tea or somewhere.
That's great. So I will say I've had a lot of guests sit on the couch, and many of my guests actually have been married, and so they've talked about how their spouse has been able to help them out when they want to do a career move. My producers tell me that you're currently single.
I am.
Talk us through...
Well, single and dating.
Single and dating.
Yeah.
Single and dating.
Yeah.
Unless you're dating someone in particular. I don't want to put you out there, but...
Oh, yeah. Well, I am seriously seeing someone.
Oh, you are? Well, you're not single, girl. You just...
Well, I'm not married, but yeah. But I am technically single.
Don't put a ring on it now. Okay. That being said, you don't have the support of a husband just yet.
Right.
How were you able to navigate being a single woman entrepreneur and, you know, dealing with what you were dealing with your mom while starting your business?
Yeah, so at the time when I moved back and when I was dealing with my mother and also launching LegalBee, at the time I was seeing someone. So I did have the support of a significant other at the time, but also I had support from my family. So I wasn't completely out here flailing by myself. Trying to figure things out. And so that has been immensely helpful, just having my family support me and support what it is that I'm trying to do. Even though I'm sure at times they wish I would just get a real job. Or at the time they probably like, you know what, you should probably just get a real job. But they believed in what I was trying to do, and so they supported me.
Okay, so it's been 2 years?
Yeah.
Almost?
Yeah.
How have
over 2 years now.
Great. How many attorneys do you have in your network?
13.
13. Okay, great. And how many clients do you currently have?
We have a little, it does fluctuate based on need. So we get a lot of repeat clients too. So like they'll use us maybe for like, I just need someone to go to the Daily Center tomorrow at 9 a.m. For a status. And then a month later, they'll come back for something else. So it definitely fluctuates based on need.
Okay, great. How have you been able to make LegalBee profitable?
A lot of it has been hustle and the grace of God as well. And also, I've been able to kind of see where the demand is and create a solution for that. So when I first started LegalBee, I know I was mentioning the solo small firm attorneys were the ones that needed my help because they didn't want to hire someone full time. But then people started coming to me and said, hey, I need someone full time. Yeah. And at first I was like, oh, well, we don't do that. But I was like, well, why can't I? Yeah. I was like, if it's obviously a need, people are coming to me to meet that need, I can figure that out.
So a recruiting firm as well.
Right. And so it started from just placing people temporarily to a full-fledged recruiting firm. Wow. And so that's another reason we've been able to be profitable, because we've just been able to meet that demand.
Oh, that's great.
About what people need.
That's a huge business.
Absolutely.
I get emails from recruiters all the time.
Absolutely. I'm sure. because you are a hot commodity.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but I know they're all on LinkedIn. Like.
That is true. That is true. And even from that, from just being a recruiting firm, actually developing a niche. So that's something I didn't necessarily mention in the intro, but I also focus on placing diverse attorneys.
Oh, wow.
Because.
And is that a subset? So you can place all attorneys?
Oh, I can place anybody.
You can place anybody, but you also have a niche for getting diverse talent.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, because again, that's another demand or need that I say. Unfortunately, diversity is hot right now. I hate that it's like that, but that's just the reality of it. You know, firms, they're getting clients that are looking at their roster of attorneys like, well, where's the diverse talent? And attorneys are like, well, we don't know. And so they come to me to like try to help that.
Okay, that's great. So LegalBee has 2 or 3 aspects. So you can do short-term staffing, long-term staffing, and then also you can actually serve as a recruiter. Right. And then you also specialize in recruiting diverse attorney talent.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's phenomenal. Yes. Okay, great.
And so another subset of LegalBee will be career coaching for attorneys in transition. So a lot of times attorneys, they'll reach out to me and say, oh my God, I don't know if I still want to be an attorney, or I want to change firms, or I want to change, go from government to in-house, or anything like that. And they just need help navigating what to do. And so usually I would just meet with those people for coffee and just give them my ideas up front. But now I've come up with an actual career coaching plan where I can actually sit down and map out an action plan and kind of be there with them to help implement them when they're trying to figure out what it is they want to do with their career.
That's great. So Shelley, what advice would you give to folks sitting at home who want to start a legal staffing firm, or even more generally, people who have an idea but need to figure out how to bring that idea to fruition?
Do a lot of research. So a lot of my research was just done in the trenches, but I would recommend actually making sure that there's even a need. Do people want what it is that you're trying to do? Because I think a lot of times entrepreneurs in general will be like, oh, that would be great if we could do that. But you haven't actually tested it and make sure that that's what people want. So that's the very first thing. Also, I would recommend getting educated on business, because it's one thing to have a passion for something, but you have to make it profitable.
Yeah.
So figure out how to market yourself, how to sell, maybe take some entrepreneurship classes.
Yeah.
That's also something that I did before I even launched LegalBee. I started.
Where did you take the classes?
The Chicago Urban League.
Oh, okay, great.
They
and
offer.
Were they free or?
It was free at the time, but it's not free now.
Okay.
Yeah, so they do charge now, but it's very well worth it. They'll take you through how to create your business plan, from your vision statement, a mission statement, how you're going to actually get clients. It takes you everything that you need to know to actually be able to launch your business. And so that's what I did before I even started LegalBee. And so I would definitely recommend people do something similar.
I love that, because honestly, sometimes, especially as lawyers, not to throw us under the bus, but we think we're smart. And so we'll just start stuff and not give it the respect that it deserves.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And just trying to find people in the industry who really know what they're doing, who can give you advice, who can really take you to the next level.
Absolutely.
And so I love that you invested in yourself, even after going to law school, getting your degree, of course having your bachelor's. That is very commendable and wise, honestly.
Well, thank you, because I will be honest, I didn't do that when I first started Whitehead Freelance Law. I was like, oh, I can do this. I was like,
you're smart.
I'm smart. I'm like, I could do this. People are already coming to me. I'm just going to start the business. I'm going to get a website. I'm going to get some fancy business cards.
No big deal.
And no big deal. But it is a big deal. And so when I started LegalBee, I knew I wanted to be more intentional about it and make sure I was going about it the right way.
Okay, I really do like that. And I did want to ask, I think people look at entrepreneurship and think it's easy. Obviously, working at a firm is hard.
Yeah.
And I know I talk to my friends all the time, and we do think, man, what if we did something else? What's the most difficult part about being an entrepreneur?
The most difficult part, at least for me, has been the ebb and flow. It's when you're at a firm, no job is stable, I'll just say that.
Yeah,
but for the most part, when you're at a firm, there's a sense of stability. You know when you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
You know how much it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's not like that in entrepreneurship. Yeah. There are times where there's months where, oh my God, I have so many clients. I'm getting all this money coming in. I'm straight. And then for the next 2 months, it's like drying up. You're like, oh my God, what's happening? And then you feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna go bankrupt. I'm gonna have to get another job. I'm gonna have to start practicing again, and I don't want to do that. But then eventually, so it's a roller coaster. Yeah. And so being able to prepare yourself for those highs, really high highs and really low lows are probably the most difficult thing about entrepreneurship.
Well, I want to talk about something you said. You said that there are times when you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to get another job. Have you ever, during the course of owning LegalBee, had a very bad month and start applying to jobs?
I have. I have done that. And honestly, I've done doc review projects just to help sustain. And those who are not familiar with doc review. So basically, a law firm is doing a large discovery project, and then they need a bunch of contract attorneys to look at documents to see what they're going to send to the other side. And so I've been one of those attorneys, just trying to get some extra cash while I'm trying to sustain myself during some of the low months.
And how have you not given up? Because I know that it's really easy to, or not easy, but I know that there is some stability with having a job and then maybe also having things that you do on the side. Like, I'm still a practitioner. I have various projects. I have a book coming out, a nonprofit. I do the show. But there is some stability that comes with, I can just I mean, if everything else were to fail, I could just keep working.
Right.
How have you trusted in your vision enough to keep at it when the money's not in the bank?
A lot of that has been my faith in God, and just knowing that eventually He will see me through. He hasn't brought me this far for me to quit. That's number one. Number two, I study other successful people. And actually, I just had this conversation with someone yesterday. Like, I study other successful people, and for the most part, none of them make it right off. It's always a story of failure, and that they kept at it. And so one of the things I've noticed is people who are successful, they're not necessarily successful because they're just that talented or they just got a big break. A lot of times they just didn't quit. They just kept going and going and going until they got their break. And so that's kind of the mindset that I've had going into this. I'm just going to keep going and going and going. I know in my heart that this is something that people need. This is things people want, and eventually it will come to pass.
I love that. We had a guest on the show who had recently lost her husband, and she talked about how she was able to maintain her business while grieving.
Oh my gosh.
In losing your mom, I wonder how were you able to maintain the business and even grow the business while dealing with grief?
Honestly, my business actually started the same month that my mother passed. So when I got my first Hive, I call them my Hive, my contract attorney. So I got my very first Hive member in March of 2015, and my mother died March 28th. And 2 weeks after that, I was right back hustling. And part of that, I think, I needed an outlet to just think of something else. I knew she wanted me to be successful. She believed in what it was that I was trying to do. And so instead of kind of grieving, I took my grief and hit the pavement. Went to all these networking events. I was like, well, LegalBee's gonna have to pop now. I was like, I don't have an excuse anymore. I was like, you know, Mom is gone now, so now I need to make it happen.
Well, I commend you for that.
Well,
I think that it's just really inspirational, the fact that you were able to do, you know, one, it is really something that we don't see a lot, but honoring your parents really is something that will bless you forever. And I just admire the way you were able to honor your mom by coming back and taking care of her, and how you just didn't give up.
Oh, thank you.
And you kept going, and I know you'll be really, really successful.
Thank you, Ashley.
So if we have viewers watching that are companies, law firms, that want to hire you, how do they get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me on my website, hirelegalbee.com. Also can email me at info@hirelegalbee.com. I'm also available on Facebook and Twitter at LegalBee LLC.
Well, Shelley, it has been my privilege speaking with you, and I've gotten a lot of great tips as well as inspiration from your story.
Well, thank you for having me, Ashley.
Of course, of course. So, guys, if you're watching, if you are an attorney, a contract attorney 5 years out, and you're interested in joining LegalBee's Hive, go on to Shelley's website, and we will have all of that information below. If you're a company or a law firm looking to hire her, please also go to her website. And if you are an attorney or even another professional looking for some career coaching, feel free to talk to Shelley about that as well. Now, you will not want to miss any of our episodes, so please subscribe to our channel. You can find us on Instagram at Passion, Purpose, and Paychecks. Same handle for Facebook at Passion, Purpose, and Paychecks. And you can always go to our website to read our blog and also stay updated on what we're doing. PassionPurposeandPaychecks.com. See you guys next time, and thanks for joining.